Somewhat sick. 8. This right here is the Carl Guthrie. Man, it's on a good Saturday. He decided to come over and chitty-chat about a little politics, a little cultural, a little society thing. So, I don't know. I think you're really going to dig. Like, me and him definitely disagree on a lot of things, but it's definitely interesting. Check it out. More to come. Promise that. Let's say this is Chapter 1 of Guthrie and Vitamin Nick's saga.
What the fuck is right?
That shit kicked my ass so hard, it's like, I can only describe the feelings like, as if the repo man came to get my car, and at the same time told me he was serving me something. Like, you know, double duty. Like, it hit me twice.
Because, I mean, not to get into politics, but that's one
Please,
thing, guys.
if
Well,
you don't mind,
I
we
know,
have a little bit of time.
dude, I know.
Is that okay?
Well, the one thing...
I want to know how you feel about it, because, like, I'm scared to death, but at the same time, everybody's like, chill out. Ain't one Democrat voted for any of the tax breaks, and I'm like, awesome. Like, I'm glad I'm on that side, and I want to know how you feel about these tax breaks getting ready to come.
Oh, the tax breaks? Well, I know that they were great for our company, upped our per diem. So when we go out of town, because I asked around with D-Ray John, like after Trump passed or after he got in the office, because the unemployment rate in the country went from like I think 8 or almost 8% under Obama. It's down to like 4%. The Mexies actually, more of them are higher now than ever in U.S. history. And on top of that, the tax plan for small businesses is cut down. I think it's like 25% or so. So see, that's why it's different. Like corporations, like big mega motherfucking, you know, like Walmart and all that shit. Like the crony capitalists who are in bed with politicians and the lobbyists and the bureaucrats that are operating in the federal government, which has the ties. Like that's why I don't like the Fed, man, because other countries have their little sticky fingers involved with our shit, and that's why it's like I'm partially isolationist, yet there is a world economy that, you know, it's like everything's digital, everything's like communication. Like, all right, now I'm getting off on a tangent. Let me go back to what I was originally trying to say.
Please do, because I wanted to throw a pin in something.
The one thing I really liked about the Obama administration was they were starting to decriminalize a lot of criminalized offenses. They were starting to like break back like people getting busted with weed, like stupid shit, like people going in jail. They have these felonies.
Right.
It's like I understand it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Like there's a lot of people who are recidivists. Like say like they got busted with like, you know, they had a domestic violence, but they also got caught with X amount of like, you know, drugs, right? Okay, drugs is a non like physical offense. Yeah, it carries a higher weight than just a simple, you know, domestic violence or a B&E or something like that. Like you're like the weight of the penalty is greater than the actual crime that you're committing. Definitely. You know what I mean? Like if you got up and punched me in the face and I was like, oh, I was just assaulted, and they came here and they're like, oh,
my rights end at the tip of your nose. That's where my rights end.
It's all about where the judicial system, because it's like a lot of it, man, it's a double-edged sword. It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's like, yes, we have to have these laws. Yes, they have to carry weight. Yes, they have to, you know, give us.
We don't have to have those laws. Those laws we don't have to. We have to overhaul the justice system rather than the tax system, because I feel like the tax system thing. The one thing I think that gets lost in all this sauce and shit, and like, did you forget what Obama did about the unemployment rate? How he dropped it when he said, it's the people that stopped looking for fucking work. Now they're not on there. So like you're looking at, well, it says 5%, but like I think Trump said it was as high as 40% at one point in time on the campaign trail.
This is all stuff I'm gonna have to go back and look up. I know that he also brought it down because he hired a bunch of like government employees. Like I remember there was a buddy, and he's like he's full-fledged communist. Like he thinks government should be in every part of our lives.
That's
dude,
such a shitty
he's
word.
Full, and he is so he's so racist to the point he hates his own flesh. Like it's
Why
sick.
are we talking about this person then? Like that person shouldn't be.
I don't want to give a name, but I'll give it I'm just giving a personal example of somebody that I worked with, and this is how his brain operated. Like we were driving the truck one day, and this was like not long after Trump got he won the last presidential election. He was like, and off the top of his head is like, man, he was, how did he coin it? He said, Man, I just know that it's so much better having a black man as president than a white man. I was like,
that's sample size, though. Look at that. That's one fucking person. Please don't tell me that ruined your day, though.
No, I'm not painting a broad spectrum.
Please don't.
But this kid, he's college educated. He's brainwashed to an extent. I mean, the cultural Marxists, they have infiltrated our academia. They've infiltrated pop culture or social culture or whatever, and then Hollywood. Like, if you go back and see,
that Marxist word is such a hardcore word.
Well,
Trust
it is.
Me, culture is always constantly
they're
evolving.
turning the universal truth of just how things work and how people are, and these aren't just based off. It's not stereotyping.
That was stereotyping. Look at
stereotyping.
Look at the unemployment shit. Like we talked about that, right? And you're like, well, I got to go back and check it out and shit. Like, I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Not just that, immigration, right? Obama was the deporter in chief, right? Did you ever hear that?
Oh yeah,
shit?
dude, he deported more people than any other president.
Why do you think that is?
See,
they changed the rules up. I swear to God, dude. They
changed
the rules up. Now, when they stop you at the gate and say no, you're not allowed to come in, that's a deportation.
Or is that just blocking? Like you
No,
can't
that's a deportation because Obama said it was, and I'm like, you're a fucking liar. That's not a deportation.
Yeah,
that's doing your job.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So like, how did that get lost in the sauce and all this?
Okay.
Like, no, we need the wall and shit. And I'm like, no, we need to get back to doing what we actually do, and that was this is our nation and shit. If you want to come and you're actually suffering from political or sexual assault and shit, I guess you can come here as a sanctuary, not so much sanctuary city, but what is it called? Fucking Owen Wilson in that movie where they went to that place and like, well, we're sovereign. What is that called?
Sovereign citizens.
What is it called when you go to some place? Fucking Julian Assange is doing this shit.
I don't know. Are you talking about the one where they went over to like Indonesia and he's got his family with him?
Right, and they have to run from it. And they're looking. They're trying to get into that other country.
They're trying to make it to, I think,
political asylum.
Asylum.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. See,
we need to change
this. This is what the UN should do, but they're more focused on like gender studies and
what Trump said last night, because Trump's always saying something. It's like, dude, we can't even give him shit for what he says because he's already saying something crazier. And like, that's just the way I look at it. And I'm like, dude, that's a hell of a tactic. That's a fucking hell of a tactic.
That's the thing. It's so hard. Like I try to. The thing that really annoys me about Trump is when he's like he overuses words like incredible, like or the best, or like
so much.
Like he'll say things, and I think he forgets he says things that like it's almost like he's.
It sounds like you've read some of his transcripts.
It's kind of it reminds me of like a car salesman.
Have you ever read any of his transcripts? John Oliver did some shit on it, and you can call John Oliver a fucking commie or whatever, right? But John Oliver, read the transcripts. Have somebody read you the transcripts and shit, and it's fucking incredible what he's actually saying, because you can just do an autocorrect on your phone, that middle word when you're trying to type. Just keep hitting that middle word after saying the nuclear. And it's actually more intelligent than what Donald Trump said about the nuclear agreement between Iran and the UN and us. Like, it's just fucking crazy how that happens, but at the same time, when you hear what he says, it's fucking so hollow. There's nothing in it. He just keeps talking about, oh, my uncle told me about nuclear, and that's just, it's just one of those things where, like, you can't...
So should I Google search John Oliver's reading of Trump's transcripts, or...
You get on Messenger, and I'll send you a goddamn link, or... Can
you like, text it to me, or...
Yeah, I'll text you the link, and like I said, they'll open it up on your YouTube.
Yeah, I'll look at it. I just know that I like Sam Harris, Ben Shapiro...
Shapiro's definitely smarter than most of them.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm
because he's willing to punch with and
but
dude,
he doesn't.
Being stupid.
He's not looking like, okay. He's like, look, I'm biased too. Like he's like, I'm a Jew. I'm Jewish. I have my faith convictions that I follow by.
Right.
And he's like, but fiscally and socially, he's just like, there's universal truths that shouldn't come into question.
I agree.
And he's all about, show me the facts. Show me the statistics. He's like, I'm not going to base my... Like, he wasn't a fan of Hillary, and he wasn't a fan of Trump. He left Breitbart because he saw some shit over there he didn't like, and he wanted to go out and do his own thing. Like, he's doing the entrepreneurial thing, which is great. The thing I love about Ben Shapiro is... And a lot of these other... Like, that's... When people are just so heavily biased, like...
Definitely.
I have a great great discomfort with giving them any credence to reality that, you know, what they're trying to espouse and get across to their viewing audience. Like, it's almost like it's hard to watch MSNBC,
Definitely.
CNN, ABC, NBC, like all those other, like they say Fox News is like the leading
it
thing.
Started that fucking shit, though. It started it.
Well, that program is the largest watched single network, but all these other networks combined, you know, are greater than the Fox News. And it's almost like, and this is a good example, okay, the whole, what's his name, Al Roker or
Riley?
No, what's the guy who just stepped down? He's a Democratic congressman from like Minnesota.
Fucking Franken.
Yeah, Al Franken. That's who it is. So Al Franken is like, okay, I think what they're doing, and this
that
is
was pathetic.
Yeah, this is what I forgot who I was watching, but it's almost like the
probably Jimmy Dore.
They're starting. Okay, the Democrats are cutting their ties with people who have baggage and known baggage.
Point the finger
so
and be like,
he's like,
so bad.
We got rid of our guys. Trump said this, like they're almost like setting it up for like a whole, because they're finding out as time goes on, there's no collusion with the Russians. Like but they have to do something else. They don't like him. They hate the guy. Like when Obama was in office, I didn't like his policies, but I had nothing personal against the guy. It was never personal with me. It's like, well, I don't like government health care.
But a majority of the Congress did have something against Obama. We can't deny that.
I don't know.
Mitch McConnell straight up said, did you hear what he said?
See, that's the thing. Like,
our only objective is to make him a one-term fucking president.
I think
and I'm like, no, your only objective is to actually serve your elective, the people that elected you and shit. Right, but you're saying no, our only thing is to stop anything this motherfucker tries to do so that he does have to do an executive order and shit. But he still takes, how long did he take health care to pass? He still put it in front of everybody. We still had all these conversations.
Yeah. Well,
and that's why the Republicans got their fucking health care, right?
We didn't know. We had to pass it to see what was in it. Like, how does that make sense?
Let's pass this tax bill then. Fucking 2 hours after they fucking release it. That shit is crazy.
They've shown you and told you what's in it and who it's going to affect and who it's going to benefit.
But they've done put all that shit on the side.
Are
you fucking no? That's a lie.
Dude,
that's a fucking lie right there. I swear to God.
Nancy Pelosi was right there in the House, and she says we have to pass the bill in order to see what's in it. You can pull it. It's not a lie.
No, I see it because like that's trust me. We know that Nancy Pelosi is fucking corrupt, right?
Yeah.
Am I trying to take up for Debbie Wasserman Schultz or Donna Brazile? I'm not on their team. You got to tell me, like I'm saying, like trust me. I know Ben Shapiro. He calls it like he sees it, but he's still biased. Trust me, like Jimmy Dore, he calls like he sees it, but he's still fucking biased on that crazy side. I can entertain a thought without accepting it as belief and like, oh, this is true because so and so said it. I still got to open it up and look at it and be like, wait a minute.
Well, what bias does, it like you said, it causes you to believe, and
definitely
that can be good, but that can also be very bad.
I completely disarm the need to believe.
I kind of want to, I'm a social and fiscal conservative through and through, but
conservative.
Social, like just run of the mill, normal. Like I'm libertarian on some things, like the whole weed thing. I think
drugs in general. You're not going to stop drugs, just like you're not going to stop crazy people when you get to have guns.
Right. Like
Milton Friedman. You can't stop drug people. I would rather them have it. Actually, legitimate drugs instead of
you would end the cartel industry.
But exactly, dude. But the only thing that's worse than like actual illegal heroin, I guess, is legal heroin.
Well, with drugs, and I know we're getting off topic because it's so intertwined. But I know with drugs, it's like if we could monetize it, we'd make a shit ton of money. However, people are getting like
I ran into a lot of heroin.
Well, no.
Yes, you can. Are you shitting me?
No, wait. What did you say?
You can monetize heroin.
Did you get
What the fuck is right? What the fuck is right? what the fuck is right.
We monetize heroin, like with the whole Afghan war.
Oh,
we were over there for popping.
What was
shit,
it like back in the 1900s and shit? Like all these illegal narcotics that they're illegal today were like legal back then.
Yeah.
Like what was it?
Cough syrup and shit had codeine and all this shit in it.
What was it? Morphine.
Yeah.
Morphine was real big back then. And my thing is, it's like, yeah,
make America great
it could definitely be monetized. We could definitely make a killing. Like it would be a booming industry. My only thing is,
cash crop.
I've seen people just. It's almost like drugs will influence people to be the shittiest that they can be, dude.
No, that's such bullshit.
No,
you know what does
dude.
that? You know what really does that? Alcohol.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dude,
when we get to see it every fucking day and they get to kill everybody.
I'm not comparing and contrasting.
You have to. That's the conservative mindset, though. It's like
I'm not, like, my motive is not to compare and contrast, but it's a great, that right there, your statement right there is the market example of, like, look how much alcohol has brought this dysfunction to families and relationships and marriages and employment, like.
How much is that due to those other drugs being illegal, though?
Exactly. It's legalized. Like, today we had a guy, no call, no show. This guy is the village drunk at where I work. And this is the only company I've ever worked for that you can no call, no show and still have a job. This is the third Saturday in a row where he's done this.
Usually you can do it twice before you get fired at other jobs because that's 6 points.
I definitely believe it. Just because our company is, I guess you can just do it endlessly and it's okay.
Right.
But yeah, man, like it all comes down to personal responsibility and having the discipline and the moral fortitude to understand that, okay, you know, like everything. I believe that everything is okay as long as it's in moderation. Like, you know, it's good to drink, but don't be a drunkard. It's like it's okay to get high every now and then.
So are you going to limit how much alcohol we can have?
I think that I'm a big Joe Rogan fan. I agree with him on a lot of things. He's just entertaining. I love his guests that he has on. I love them. Like when they argue, they do it as adults should. They don't let their emotions.
Steven Crowder didn't.
Steven Crowder did when he started talking about pot.
You guys are fucking double teaming me and shit. And I'm like, dude, shut up, you're wrong.
Well,
fucking bullshit.
Well, look, he could be, but that's what he, you know, like for instance, for me,
traffic fatalities because of marijuana. You think?
I know that if when I used to do that, when I got behind the wheel, I was a lot less coherent than I would be sober. And that's why if somebody, you know, gets pulled over and the police are like, I have reason to believe that you're under the influence of something. It's like, well, I mean, caffeine, you can be heavily influenced by caffeine, caffeine, but you know, you're more aware of things. And when I was doing that back in the day, it got to a point where, you know, I was smoking enough that I was used to it and I could function.
Right.
But it took a while to build up that tolerance that, okay, I got to be mindful of my surroundings. I'm driving a 3-ton, you know, thing that's going 60 miles per hour. There's people walking around. Like, there's a lot of, like...
That you're paying insurance on. That you have responsibility for that car and shit. Therefore, you know...
Well, yeah, it would be unwise for me to do that. If I'm paying, if by law I have to pay something... in order, if I do find myself in an accident, you know, I would like it to be an honest accident where there's nothing in my system, it was operator error, you know, and it's completely my fault. But if there's like an operator error because I have something that I just did in my system that I knew in advance, because everybody's different, okay? Like, right. you go in the medical field, like, some things affect people differently. Like, some people... You know, even their preferences on drugs, like some people like uppers, some people like downers, some people like, you know, hallucinogenics, like just, you know, everybody's got their own little thing that they're into. But if you know that it's going to affect your decision-making skills in real time at the click of a switch, you shouldn't do it unless you know you can. And that's where I think, you know, like drugs, like even people who, it's like they'll go out of their way to get certain things. And, you know, I just see like, man, like heroin, like it just becomes to a point to where it's, and I always see like people doing opiates and then they get to heroin. They want that next thing. And then before too long, it's like they're physically dependent on it. And if they cut it and if they try to wean themselves off, it's like, man, that could kill them. Like, that's so sad. But that's their choice.
That's exactly what
happens
with alcohol.
It's the same argument. Well, it's the same argument with obese people. People go out and they eat shitty food. You know you're going to get cholesterol. You know you could have a heart attack. You know you're going to get diabetes and have all these medical costs gone up because you made bad.
No,
but
that's that bullshit though, because of all those genes and all those chemicals.
Genetics.
The parents that feed the kids though, they can't be held responsible and shit. But the kids for the first 10 years, they don't really get to pick and choose what they get to eat.
Well, see, that's why they ought to be taught, and this was taught in school to have that's why school has physical education. Well, it's like it's eat healthy and be active. That's it. Like if you want to live a long time, eat healthy, be active. If you have some sort of pre-existing thing, or if you have some sort of condition that you were just given by genetically. Like, that's one thing, but to go out there and to, like, man, I'm just going to eat bacon and drink grease every day and drink soda. Like, I'm drinking a soda right now. This is the first soda I've had, minus because I'm a pussy when it comes to alcohol. I have to have a chaser. But when I want, I don't know, for some reason today, there's snow on the ground. I really wanted a cream soda. So I got me a cream soda. But where I work, it's a physically labor job. I hike on the weekends, and then during the week I go to the gym and lift weights.
Right.
So, and I'm always looking to put good healthy food in my body because my body responds negatively to negative foods. Like I had Hardee's 2 weeks ago. Hadn't had fast food like that in months. Dude, after I ate that, I felt so shitty.
Oh, no.
Like just like what the I almost felt like I was hungover without the headache and the stomach cramps and all that. I just felt like, man, I just feel like garbage. But it's just personal decisions that we're supposed to make every day, and that's why
that would be then you're a social liberal. If it's
no,
all based on personal.
No, well, it's not to I want to do what I want to do, and when it's like, well, that's fine, but
so the
that's why I
should
would say
step in and
nope,
say stop.
Nope.
Who's
Government
going to step in then?
No, nobody needs to step in. You should know. You should just know, like, dude, I shouldn't sit here and like drink alcohol every day. I shouldn't go out and eat Twinkies every day. But I'm all about it. It's almost like you should know better, but I don't think the government should be there to tell you otherwise. Like, even being a nuisance in society, like that's why we have officers. Like that's why I think drugs should be decriminalized in a large spectrum. I mean, even Milton Friedman was talking about. I think it was Cuba or Costa Rica. It was somewhere down there where they legalized drugs, and it was like, was it Portugal?
Portugal.
They legalized it, and their economy boomed, and like they got out of control for a little bit, but then people started to be like, no.
I'm gonna go to rehab and shit.
Yeah,
and
yeah. People
was available.
Yeah, people got smart. And in our American culture, where
it never worked. There's too many people. Who's gonna pay for it?
Well, see, here's the thing. Like,
who's gonna pay for it?
We live in a country where we don't appreciate shit. Like we can, like we don't think about. Look, no. Like I only know this because I see it in myself. I wake up every day, and then I go push a button and it makes coffee for me, and then. Everything that used to be done back in the 30s, 40s, on back then before like all the, we had in the Industrial Revolution, we had, the interstate system and all that stuff to ship goods. Now we got technology at our fingertips. If we want entertainment, we have a little device we can hold in our hand and go in there. We can talk to somebody somewhere in the world when it took back hundreds of years ago, you'd have to sail or write something and wait.
Impossible.
Like, it was like, man, that's just how it was back then. I mean, but people didn't like.
Better now.
It's better now and it's worse now. I think it's a double-edged sword. It was better back then, but it was also worse back then. Like you had a lot more hardships, but it was simpler times. Now we have very complex times, but things are more readily there for us to take. Like, I mean, I get up and I get in my car. Like I remember this summertime, I got to work and my battery was dead, and I had to walk home. And it was like 90 degrees outside. So I took off my shirt, put my backpack on, and I'm walking down the street, and cars are going past me. Like, shit, man. Like, I hike, and I go to the gym and everything.
Right.
And it's like, it didn't wear me out one bit. I was not uncomfortable, but it was just walking from point A to point B. And it was like, damn. Like, what if I had to do this every day? Like, I'm cool with that, but like, man, what happens when like wintertime gets here? Like, and then there's places that are open 24 hours a day, so, like, I don't have to go to sleep. I can kind of operate on a third shift schedule, which I kind of do in the wintertime. Like, I hibernate just like anybody else does. I stay inside more often, and when I do go outside, it's not as often. that's why people get sick, because we're indoors more often. We're around germs that are up in the air and everything. But we just live in a society where it's just like, you know, somebody who lives over in, like, I don't know, some South American or African or Indonesian or Russian, wherever you're at in a third world country, people want what the first thing that kids want, like, over in these third world countries is a smartphone. Like, kids know they want or video games or pop culture, like and that's why.
Kids have always wanted to fucking video
I know,
games.
dude. Kids. See, that's the thing. Like, it was funny. I think I was like the black sheep when I was growing up, because like when kids were playing video games, I was still wanting to go outside and play army and football and ride our bikes to the store. Like, I was
a few of you out there.
Yeah, I was all about real time stimulation. But you know, a lot of my buddies they got on the video game thing, and you know, in order to hang out with my friends, I had to start playing video games too, or else I had to find new friends, which wasn't always comfortable for me.
Play guitar.
That's what I started doing. I started playing guitar, and now we're getting off on another tangent.
No, I just want to make sure, like, if you don't, you can still counteract and interact with people and shit just because you don't play video games.
Yeah,
I
know, but it's like, well, you develop a connection and a love for your buddies. Even at a childhood level, it's like, well, those are my friends. Those are the guys they know my humor. They know what I'm into. We can laugh. We can joke. We can torture our parents. We can prank. We can, you know, all these things we're into. But it just seems like video games just kind of took some of that away from what I was originally into. But things shifted, however, once like the whole skateboarding thing became a craze, because people started to get on the skateboards, and I didn't want to take the time to learn the skateboards, but people were moving around. I was like, well, shit, I know how to rollerblade. And this is when like fruit booting, that's what they call fruit booting, was kind of cool. Like, you know, that what was that one movie in the 90s was like Get Air or something. That one kid goes from like L.A. to Chicago or Brink, yeah.
I fucking love that movie.
That's a good
and
movie.
on that note, we're gonna fucking end this somewhat sick. Great fruit booting.
All right, so let's get back on the brink then. We see everybody going out there and putting up their little, little social safe spaces and everything. I say, hey.
Fuck them. You don't have to be affected by the socials in the sanctuary cities and these like, wait until that comes to your state, and then you tell me how I can help you. Share your fucking protests and shit, because I'm willing to fight the good fight, but at the same time, I'm not going to promote fucking people going and stopping people on the interstate and shit, because you got to stop and look at our protests and shit. I'm like, that's fucking retarded. You need to go to a fucking city of sort.
These kids, well, they just don't know any better. If they've been brainwashed. But I get
classified with that because I'm a socialist, idiot, Democrat and shit. Just because I voted for Barack, right?
I think you're an idiot.
No, but like I had to vote for Hillary and shit. I'm like, no, I didn't. I threw my vote away with Jill Stein, right? I threw it away. I don't give a fuck, right? But I'm not going to vote for something out of fear anymore, because that's that bullshit. I'm telling you.
Which one was Jill Stein?
Green Party. She got a bad rap because she went to Missouri or North Dakota, where it's actually 200,000 gallons of oil have actually spilled there. She went there when they were protesting and fucking, what is it called? Not discriminated. Graffiti, yeah. She did that on one of the fucking bulldozers that was there. So she was facing trial and shit, and then I know one of my other friends was like, I can never vote for somebody that's that dumb and shit. And I'm like,
yeah, I know. Well, it's the same time. It's just like, you know, that's what punk rock kids do. And I remember growing up around punk rock kids. If they didn't like something,
too. I don't know if he listens to this podcast, but he was punking when he told me he would never have voted for Jill, so he voted for Hillary. I was like,
I've always loved the heart of the punk rock kids. It was just always in the direction that was the worst, I think, for the country. Like they just don't know.
Do you think anarchy is possible?
Well, no. Look at Somalia.
Yeah, right. I just want to make sure you know what.
Somewhat sick. 8.
And on that note, we're going to fucking end this somewhat sick. Great fruit booting.
Alright, so let's get back on the brink then. On the brink.
Guthrie. Somewhat sick. But it's definitely interesting. Check it out. More to come. Promise that. Let's say this is chapter 1 of Guthrie and Vitamin Nick's saga.
What the fuck is right?
Somewhat sick. 8. What the fuck is right?